Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Just saw Horizon, An American Saga Part 1, Kevin Costner. I think you should go see this movie. I saw it. I enjoyed it. 3 hours and 1 minute. Wow. Couldn't get it down to 3 hours, Kevin. But, yeah, very good, epic. I'm not sure if we got 2 parts to this, 3 parts, but I'm looking forward to whenever the next part comes out. I did not catch when part 2 will be here, but I'll be there to see it. One minor complaint because of this Inside Out 2 crap movie, this child's movie, and what's the other big movie that's hogging up the big screens? A Quiet Day Part 1, they're hogging up all the IMAX screens, all the Dolby Digital. Well, if any film deserves to be on those bigger, nicer screens, it's this one, but it's not because it's edged out. So I saw the movie on a nice enough theater screen, but I do feel like if I had enjoyed it on Dolby Digital or IMAX, I would have liked it even more. The beautiful landscapes, all the action, the wild, wild west. Yeah, so should you go see this movie? Should you go not? I say go see it. Now, watching this film, I was thinking, when was this? I don't know if they gave an actual date or not. I was thinking it was like 1880s. Like 15 years or so after the Civil War. And then at some point in this film, some of the supporting characters are called to duty for the Union Army, okay, for the Civil War. So I guess that answers that question. So when did the Civil War start? Was it 1860 or 1861? Something like that. So now we know our time spot. I'm going to choke all goddamn night. So then it's like, what is Horizon? What is that? Well, if I got this straight, if I learned properly, there was this city in the Old West, which was basically sold, like property was being sold as if it was, the great gold mining. Go there and get rich and find your gold and settle and all that stuff. But the salesman didn't bother to mention, oh, by the way, there's these indigenous people, these Apache Native Americans or Indians, as the people said back then, that might kill you for coming into their property, their land with the buffalo and all. No buffaloes in this movie. I could have used a good buffalo scene. But basically, this is America, folks. Like the swindle, the con job. Oh, yeah, here's Horizon, this wonderful city just waiting for you fine folks to go out there. But we're not going to mention that these, Apaches might kill you. Now, early in the film, this is a very epic, it's almost, I don't watch Game of Thrones, Tits and Dragons, as I called it. But I know that there's multi-families and multi-tribes or whatever the fucks, all that horse shit. So in this, there are multiple stories going on at once that at times overlap, but I think in part 2, they'll really start to congeal. So we're kind of bouncing around from story to story with some stuff going on. And then, you just have to start somewhere. So we start with this scene, and I don't know if the question was answered, but this woman is taking this child back, which I don't know if it's her child or she's shooting and killing this guy. And then later on, it'll be revealed that he has this weird brother family, all these, hard-ass redneck fucks who are the brothers that are going to seek revenge. And I don't know if that boy is the child that she had with him or whatever the fuck. So she'll go off, and I guess she was a lady of the evening of sorts, and she'll find some simp to become her husband, and the brothers will come back. So that's one storyline. Then we have our buddy there, Kevin Costner, who's kind of just doing his thing. And this, young lady of the evening is trying to give him a good deal on a little company for the night. And unfortunately, she's also got a day job as a babysitter for the other young woman of the night who had killed that guy's 2-year-old child. And so basically the brothers come back, and long story short, the parents of this little child get killed, and then the whore, the remaining lady of the night, shall I say, politically correct, she basically gets the offer from Kevin Costner, hey, look, I just killed this asshole to defend you, because I was just gonna fuck you, you know, as the prostitute that you are. But now these people, whoever were with this asshole, are gonna come and kill me. So if you want to hop on a horse and let's go. And she does go. So we have a little bit of that, a little bit of this. All these other stories going on. Sienna Miller is in this thing. Yeah, early in the film, there's this very wonderful face that this lady has. There's this big, you know, blood slaughter scene. And I was actually surprised, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, because I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, wow, the Native Americans or the indigenous people, they're kind of the aggressors in this scene. They're attacking all these Caucasians and one man of color, and they're attacking all these people and killing children and killing women and burning stuff and all this horse shit. And it's like, oh, but the Native Americans are being portrayed as like aggressive. Am I in the right decade? Is this John Wayne? Is this 1955? You know what I mean? Like, I was actually kind of shocked. Like this is cowboys and Indians, and the Indians are the bad guys for a scene. You know, but that's good old Kevin Costner. He'll figure it out, because, you know, what we do learn, and what, if you have half a brain, you know that, you know, two tribes go to war, you can only hope to score. I mean, it's just, you know, nobody's the good guy. Nobody's the bad guy. The indigenous people are trying to protect their land. They have all these pale faces coming in with their sticks to measure stuff, and they see them as the aggressor. And these white people, or these settlers, or whatever the fucks, they just think they're going to the promised land to find their way in the world, and they're not expecting to get a bow and arrow through their fucking chest. So, I mean, I'm watching this, you know, conflict from, you know, whatever the fuck 200 years ago, and, you know, call me an asshole, but I can't help to think about our world problems overseas, not here in the United States, but people are fighting religious wars, conflicts, land, territories, all these horrible things. People are dying brutally. And do we learn from these errors of humanity? Do we learn? No. We just repeat them. You know, the players change, but the stories remain the same. People will find a reason to kill each other, or whether it's religious disagreements or differences, or the promise of some eternal gift if you kill these other people, or land, or women, or whatever the fuck people are fighting over. They always find a reason to fight. You know what I mean? So it's just, we are our own worst enemy as a human species. We'll always find a way to kill each other and do horrible things to each other. And the Wild Wild West really was the Wild Wild West. But how much has fucking changed? Now we can just Twitter fuck about it. Now we can just Instagram about it. Now we can just see it on CNN or Fox News or whatever the fuck. But the human urge to self-destruct, to kill thy fellow man, remains strong. So it's horrible and it's god-awful, but yet somehow it makes a good movie, because, you know, we're far enough removed from it now. But, I mean, I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, man, this, you know, era, you know, 1880s, it's like, it's almost like 1 foot in the Neanderthal world of like how these people did things, you know, with the violence and the shooting and the horse shit. And, but then, like, the most advanced thing, like, the thing that they had then, that it's not quite as advanced as it is now, is the guns. Quite honestly, like, they had some pretty goddamn good guns back then. Granted, they weren't semi-automatics where you could fucking wipe out a whole bunch of people or whatever the fuck. But I mean, still, the guns that they had, the shotguns, the pistols, or whatever the fucks, they were pretty goddamn impressive. And I just thought that, like, you know, of all the things like that we have that they don't, the good old TV, this phone that I'm using, all these technologies that have come, I guess, you know, starting in the 1920s, Edison and all his colleagues and all the people that he stole ideas from, you know what I mean? But back then, they did have some photographs, because we saw a couple of photographs in this thing, but really their guns were fairly fucking impressive, to tell you the truth, you know what I mean? So, and as far as, like I said, a non-semiotic weapon, I mean, their fucking guns were powerful. And the bow and arrow, of course, powerful. So, yeah, and then the prophecy, like the fucking Native American, I mean, I don't know what to say. Indigenous people, Native American, what do you want me to say here? But the guy is having a dream about his son and all this horse shit. I mean, it's very exciting. Was that, I was trying to stick around for the end credits, but the fiddle fucker who was cleaning the auditorium was trying to get in there. It looked like this young lady actress, very pretty. I thought was she Katie Holmes? Like a grown-up Katie Holmes, who we haven't seen in a while. I don't know if the Scientologist got a hold of her or whatever the fuck happened to Katie Holmes' career. But this woman played like the wife of this kind of self-indulgent yuppie couple who's going out to the wild, wild west. And the fucking husband considers himself an artiste for the newspapers. And he doesn't want to do the grunt work. And his wife is like this hootie tootie who's like, taking all the fucking drinking water to bathe outdoors nude. And then these weirdos are watching her bathe and, putting the husband in a tough spot because she thinks he's got to be this tough guy to defend her. Meanwhile, she's looking for trouble at every turn. And, I thought they'd be dead by the end of this fucking movie, like the end of part 1. I thought that couple, like, would be dead or something horrible would happen to them, and not yet, but we'll see the next one. So at the end of the movie, we kind of get, like, I assumed it was like a flash forwarding because we don't really have an ending to this. It was advertised as part 1. So we have what appeared to be a flash forward montage of exciting scenes from part 2. And like I said, I don't know if part 2 is the finality. Maybe that comes out for Christmas, who knows? Or maybe the end of summer, I don't know. But it looked very good to me. Part 2 looked like all the montages we see. Do I have any other thoughts on this thing? I mean, that early shootout scene with the indigenous folks, the Apaches, I guess, attacking, because that's the thing, like, I assume they were the Apaches, but I don't know for sure because there was other, Native American tribes, I guess, and I don't know if whoever the fuck knows, but it's just bloody and gory. But I mean, like I said, it's they're in their mind, they're defending their right to live. So I mean, who's to say what's what? You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you see all this stuff like the father and son, and the son wants to fight and stand by his father, and the two women, the mother and daughter, who I didn't recognize, Sienna Miller. Nice to see her on Curb Your Enthusiasm recently. But she, very, like I said, attractive woman, face, wonderful face. And isn't she like Australian or British or one of those things? But she was in this, and she and the daughter are like hiding underneath the ground and like breathing through a fucking rifle and shit. So it's just amazing. And, to be honest with you, women at the time, as portrayed, I think, with a delicate touch in this film. I mean, Sienna Miller's character, whatever the name was, she loses her husband early in the movie, loses her husband, loses her son. And then basically, I would say she kind of, propositions herself as a war bride to the army leader guy because, she's got a daughter to raise and she has no husband, and how's she going to put food in her daughter's mouth? And this army has kind of like, rescued her. So now she's going to marry herself off. So she kind of makes a play for the military man. Good for her. Because to be quite, brutally sad and honest, I mean, women couldn't run a Revlon corporation back then, or they couldn't be an Instagram model, or they couldn't be a librarian, or whatever the fuck. They couldn't do all these wonderful things they couldn't be vice president of the United States of America like women can now. They didn't have their liberation. They couldn't vote. So, I mean, the women, at the time kind of had to do what they had to do. So for this lady, I mean, she's a widow now. And she's got a daughter to raise, and she's still highly attractive, obviously, because it's Sienna Miller playing the part. So she has to essentially make herself beautiful for this military guy, and of course she does. And then you'd probably expect that her young daughter, who's probably 13, 14 years old, she's kind of, this becomes like the camp kid, but even her character seems very fond of one of these soldiers, gives him a little patch of her blanket or whatever the fuck, and then is encouraged to give a little patch of the blanket to all the soldiers to come back, like tie a yellow ribbon. So, I mean, in reality, she would probably be married off to one of those soldiers if he were to return, because that's how things were back then, okay? Things were just different. People didn't live very long. I mean, they lived to 40 or 50, and you might get malaria, or you might get some whatever the fuck disease. So, I mean, just things were different. So I don't know. I liked the movie a lot. I enjoyed it. I mean, this is, felt like 1994, Kevin Costner. I mean, it's just like the guy went in a fucking time machine and went back to his prime time, his Bull Durham, his Build It If You Will Come, or Come If You Will Build It, Field of Dreams, Dances with Wolves, whatever the fuck else. I mean, just Kevin Costner at one time, folks, he kind of had that spot, like the Tom Hanks spot, or I don't want to say Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is kind of at a different level in a sense. But there was like a spot where you had like maybe Tom Hanks or even a Billy Crystal or Kevin Costner, where like it's like this guy can do no wrong. You know what I mean? And at one time, Kevin Costner was that guy. And now, to be honest with you, as famous and popular as he is, I wouldn't say that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has ever done that. I mean, because maybe for a little while, but I mean, Black Adam was a big flop, and he's had other flops. But there has been times when, like, one particular person, I guess you could even say John Travolta in the late 90s kind of had a couple of years like that, where, like, one particular actor is, like, the go-to machine of money. And, at one time, and critical acclaim as well. So I think Kevin Costner and Tom Hanks, the Billy Crystal didn't really do that. He wasn't like a Oscar-winning guy, but he was more like an Oscar host type of guy. But he had like his When Harry Met Sally and his whatever the fuck, his City Slickers. But with Kevin Costner, god damn it. I never saw The Postman, whatever the fuck, El Postino, never saw that one. But Dances with Wolves and all this horse shit. I mean, it's just nice to see Kevin Costner have a wonderful, return to the epic. And also, our buddy there, Luke Wilson, not Owen Wilson, but Luke Wilson, who we kind of forget about. I was in Los Angeles many years ago with a friend of mine, and we were walking around some part of LA, and I looked over, I said, hey, that looks like Luke Wilson, but he's drunk. And my friend was very upset because she said, if you spot a celebrity, you don't say anything. Well, what the fuck? I mean, I wasn't expecting to walk by Luke Wilson, whether he was drunk or not, but it did look like Luke Wilson. And the individual did look a little drunk, but who the fuck knows? And maybe just some guy who looked like him. Who the fuck cares? But I thought that this movie, and also one of my LA memories, I thought I saw Halle Berry walking a dog in Los Angeles once, so who knows? But a very exciting movie, very good entertainment. If you do go to this thing, I would say try to get into the theater. Don't watch it on streaming. Don't be that asshole that says, oh, I'll just wait a couple of weeks to watch it on streaming. Don't be that piece of shit. Go to the fucking theater. Get yourself one of these goddamn subscriptions. I'm always telling you about AMC, Cinemark, Regal. Have all these wonderful monthly subscriptions. I tell assholes this all the time, and yet they still pay full price, and they still complain about the price, even though I tell them this every fucking goddamn time. In the meanwhile, for any of you fucks that may have noticed, your buddy Mikey Messier is officially kicked off of Facebook. They flagged me or whatever the fuck for sharing copyrighted material. But the reality is, I mean, there's so many assholes on Facebook that are sharing all types of treacherous things. You know what I mean? So, I mean, sometimes I do these little Facebook shorts using music that Facebook puts in there. Sometimes I'll copy and paste a link. But, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about because I was certainly not profiting from anyone else's material. But usually I'm just streaming my own shit, not somebody else's shit. So I don't know. I don't know what the fuck their problem is. But for the time being, all 3,500 of my Facebook friends might be wondering, well, gee whiz, what happened to your buddy Mike Messier? Well, here the fuck I am. You can tell people if you happen to be one of the inside elite who know me and know these people, and they say, well, gee whiz, what happened to Mike Messier? You say, well, gee whiz, he's fine. Just Facebook fucked him in the ass. That's all. So anyway, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. One Man in the Camera Films is my wonderful YouTube channel for my films. One Artist, Mike Messier, for my wonderful art. Fighter Play Basketball, my award, well, it's not an award-winning novel, but my wonderful novel. Stick Man recently won a nice comedy award from the Alternative Film Festival. And this channel is one Mike Messier. So go to MikeMessier.com. All the hyperlinks are there. Scroll to the bottom, buy one of my books, and that's it. So yeah, go see this movie. It was very good. Good job.